What is good, folks? We're back here today on Showdown. Today, I'm going to be discussing the top 5 fire types in OU currently. I figured this would be a good video. I used to do these competitive style top 5s way back in Generation 6. Figured, you know what? Generation 9 is here. A lot of different Pokemon are viable. I feel like this would be a great video to do, talking about, what I consider to be the top 5 fire types in the metagame right now. The fire type is definitely one of the strongest types currently in this meta specifically. And I figured, you know what, if this video does well, I'll continue doing it for the other types. Always like, compiling this stuff, showing you guys sets, teams, that kind of thing. So with that, let's just hop right into it because, it is 5 Pokemon. I want to get into it quickly. So if you do get like content like this, though, I do want to say, give this video a big like. I'm trying to hit 2K likes by tomorrow. I'll be posting again, so definitely go give this a like. So first mon we have, the first mon I have is the only mon that is not from the new generation. So this is what... For the last slot, we actually had a tie. It was between 2 guys. So the first one is going to be Volcarona regular, right? So these are the only Pokemon on the list that are not from Generation 9. These are actually Pokemon from the past generation, and they both tied for the last slot. So first, we have Volcarona, and then we have Torkoal. So both of these guys I decided to put on here because they basically only really have one role currently. However, they do that role well. They just don't do their role as a fire type attacker or support Pokemon as well as the other Pokemon on this list. So Volcarona, this is old reliable. We've been using this forever now, guys. Gen 5, Gen 6, Gen 7, and even in Gen 8, even without hidden power, it still got access to boots, so that was more than enough. I looked through some of my teams, and I do have still quite a few teams with a regular Volcarona. The thing is, though, I put Volcarona at the end just because there's a lot of easier special attackers to get away with. Here's the thing with Volcarona. This Pokemon does not have access to hidden power anymore, right? Terastallize was a great gift to this thing. Don't get it twisted. Grass Terastallize is usually my favorite one to reuse. Run Quiver Dance, Fiery Dance, and then you can run Energy Ball, and then really from there, it really doesn't matter what you run. You can run Roost, you can run Bug Buzz if you want to go, 3 attack. Either way, being able to turn Volk into a Grass type with the Terra type is probably the best thing you can get out of this, just because it allows Volk to resist water type attacks, which is really nice, resist ground types attacks, which it normally would just get flipped over by because this thing's Fizz Def has always been bad, and then Bug Fire is neutral to ground. But Grass has always been a really nice way for Volcarona, I guess, to get away from everything. Pure Grass defensive typing is pretty good on Pokemon like this, or Fire types specifically, right? Especially back in the Palafin meta, and now all these guys are a lot better due to Palafin getting banned, Iron Bundle getting banned. Either way, this is the Volcarona set I like the most. I like Terra typing into a Grass type. Gives you good immunities, and getting the extra stab on Energy Ball is great. It's just like, I just like that a lot, You're able to hit stuff really hard. You turn into a Grass type, this Energy Ball is smoking Dondozo. It's absolutely smoking, what's his face? Garganackle, all that type of stuff. So it is nice to get the stab boost. Only issue with this set is that you're still going to get messed up by Clodsire with Unaware. Not really much you can do unless you want to go for Fire Blast. You can put Psychic on here over Bug Buzz or something like that, but regardless, it's still going to be able to tank your hits pretty easily. And for that reason, I have Volcarona at the 5th spot because I think support-wise, Volcarona takes a lot out of your team. Like, it's hard to support Volcarona more so than it is to support other Pokemon, and for that reason, this guy's at the bottom of the list. So Volcarona, this is a set I like running. Again, like I said, there's a couple of slashes you can run, but in my opinion, currently, I just like running the Quiver Dance 3 attack, Terra type Grass. I think I get the most mileage out of that for sure. But I know that Volcarona has always been able to put in work with the bulky set. Of course, Quiver Dance Roost 2 attack, and I'm sure that set can still be good right now. I just haven't had time to try it. If I could recommend partners for Volcarona, I would just use dual screens. Grimmsnarl is very good due to the fact that it got Parting Shot this generation. Volcarona is not that bulky on the physical side whatsoever. So if you support that thing with screens, you're usually going to get a lot out of it. Next up, we have Torkoal. So I'm sure a lot of you can guess why we have Torkoal. In fact, my bro just passed me this team that he got number 2 with. So you can see this has a Torkoal. And I just posted with Choice Banded Salamis, if you guys remember, and that had Torkoal too. So what's Torkoal for? What do you think, guys? It's to get the sun up for all the photosynthesis mons. This guy, he didn't waste any time. He got the 2 big proto guys right here, Roaring Moon and Great Tusk, and they're both putting in that work with max attack on both of them. But yeah, so Torkoal is here to bring the sun up. In Generation 9, of course, we have the Paradox Pokemon, and these guys, the past forms have photosynthesis, meaning they get to boost their highest stat in the sun. That makes running sun teams definitely an option. Torkoal, this is like, me and CTC were talking about this. This is like a great equalizer, this generation in terms of weathers. Sun never got his chance to shine, right? Sand has been absolutely supreme. Since Generation 3, Tyranitar has been the GOAT. Then we got Hippo in Generation 4, and Hippo is incredible too. Hail got its buff this generation too, and last generation, because Arctozolt and Ninetales were incredible. So Hail got its buff last generation, rather. And then Rain started being amazing in Gen 5 when Rain became permanent, right? So why didn't Sun ever get its chance to shine? All the Sunsetters were garbage too. Ninetales regular, one of the worst Pokemon ever. So Sun didn't even exist in Gen 6. Gen 5, it basically got nerfed very badly because the trio got banned. And then Gen 7, I used Sun one time with Torkoal. Shit was ass. Gen 8, you could still use Sun, but it was ass. Now, finally, Torkoal has turned the role of like Arceus Fire X Groudon, because having him on your team enables you to power up these guys to absolutely demonic levels. You got Roaring Moon coming in here with +1 speed. What is that, 355? No, sorry, 555 speed. But then he's also at like, what, 560 attack? You got this guy coming in here with 540 attack. And he's fast as shit. Like, it's hilarious. It's hilarious. So Torkoal is just good at support right now. You bring him in, you keep your Sun up, but this is the type of Pokemon that if you're going to run Torkoal, you do it on an offense team. You don't run this on any type of balanced defensive team whatsoever. This guy's team here is very clearly an offensive build, right? Like, this is meant for everybody to do damage, hit hard, and win the sack war so you're up in Mons first. If you're using a Torkoal, it's usually going to be on a Sun offense team, and you need to play pretty aggressively, guys. Yeah, Torkoal's pretty good at, like, defensively eating up hits. That's for sure. It can like take a hit in a pinch, but really you want to bring this guy in for your Sun, and then you're going to double out afterwards. So Torkoal and Volcarona are two that I decided to tie up because, I don't know, I think they both have their merits. I think if I had to pick one, I would say Torkoal, just because I like the support Torkoal brings for a team rather than using regular Volcarona, which, you know, doesn't actually give much support to a team, right? This is like a sweeper on its own, but it doesn't really give any defensive utility or anything like that to your team. Like, on the flip side, Torkoal, right, sets up rocks, spins, and then of course the Sun comes up for all your guys. What's the issue though with this? Well, your opponent can always have photosynthesis Mons. So if you set the Sun up, you better get ready for their Roaring Moon to come in and beat your ass, or their Great Test to come in and like just spin around you. So that's something you got to worry about with photosynthesis. But yep, those are the first two Mons that I actually had tied for 5th. I couldn't decide which one of them to go with, but they're both very good and they have their own purpose. Again though, if I had to choose, I would have to go with Torkoal. So next, let's keep it pushing to what I consider to be the 4th best fire type in the meta right now. Who's it gonna be, folks? None other than the top agent. We've been using him a lot lately, Scarlet. Now, when I first saw Scarlet's stats, I was like, okay, you know what? The stats are not amazing. Like, the attack is great, the speed's mediocre, and the defenses are like okay. But I was like, you know, it's gonna be tough to make Scarlet work because we have so many fire ghost types. I was like, we get this typing every generation now. And they're always like stronger than the last one. And I was thinking, damn, is Scarlet going to be good with this bullshit ass speed? And it turns out, yes, he is fire. So literally, anyway, so he's got two abilities here: Flash Fire or Weak Armor. I usually go with Weak Armor because it allows you to sweep better, or at least stay in and like get a little bit more throughout the battle. Flash Fire is definitely good defensively, but I don't know. This guy's defenses aren't good to begin with. 75, 80. It's not like ChiU is going to Fire Blast you, right? It's going to go for a Dark Pulse or something like that. So, I don't know. I don't think Flash Fire is that useful of an ability. Anyway, set-wise, I am always running just Jolly, Max Attack, Max Speed. Life Orb is the way to go with this one. There's a couple of sets you can do, though. Personally, for me, I like Swords Dance, Bitter Blade, Shadow Sneak, and then final move, you can either do Substitute, which I have seen because Scarlet is able to force a lot of switches, or you can go Close Combat. I do like Close Combat quite a bit. It's just a strong move to have, and it just hits rock types, dark types, that kind of thing. It's a nice move. I like having Close Combat as a last attack. I have used the Substitute set as well. I like Terra Fighting too, but you cannot sleep on Terra Ghost because having that +2 Shadow Sneak boosted up with your the Terra boost is disgusting. Scarlet in general is just really, really strong. I mean, even if you don't go Jolly, you can go Adamant too. 383 attack, +2 sneaks off stab. You don't need Technician for that to hit hard. This guy's coverage is really good. Like, I enjoy using this on Hyper Offense. I'm looking at my teams for Scarlet. I used it on this one. Yep, Adamant 3 attack like you guys saw. And then on the CTC offense, this was a really, really good team. Back when Fluttermane was legal for like a day or two, but no way, this is double Bitter Blade. Oops. Sub SD, Bitter Blade, Shadow Sneak. But yes, this is a sub SD one we were running. And again, Scarlet is cool. If you're able to switch him in on a U-turn or something like that, you're going to get the +2 speed. And if you are able to get the Swords Dance, which again, it's not that hard to get the Swords Dance off with Scarlet. He does, force a good amount of switches. Fire Ghost is decent enough defensive typing. You're immune to fighting attacks, resist grass, resist steel, that kind of thing. I mean, you're fucking immune to normal fighting, right? Like, this is... Scarlet has the defensive ability to take advantage of weak armor because of the typing alone. And his defenses are bad, but they're not so bad that it dies to any attack in one. I haven't had a chance to really try other sets than SD2 attack and SD3 attack. I know MV ran a set. I believe it's Endure. It's like this. I think it's Endure. I just don't know what the item is. It's obviously not going to be Life Orb. I think it was Weakness Policy. I haven't had a chance to try this. I don't think this is bad, though, because Bitter Blade recovers HP anyway. So even if you go under your sash and you're afraid of Helmet or some shit, you just get your HP back. Scarlet's biggest issue in this metagame, can you guys guess who it is? It's obviously this asshole. So yeah, Dondozo blows up Scarlet no matter what. There's nothing you can do. There's no set in the history of the world you can run. You can even run, like, the best thing you could do is run Bandit Close Combat and Terrasilize into a fighting type, and Donbozo will still body bag you. So unfortunately, Dondozo is just one of those mons that, like, physical attackers are not supposed to beat Dondozo. Like, that's just how this game is. And if you're a fire type and your best move is either close combat or shadow sneak, it's really not gonna work. So yeah, as it stands, Scarlet is really good. I think it's an underrated Pokemon, if anything. I think people are really sleeping on this guy because this is a threat. Like, if you don't prepare for Scarlet, or it's rather not even like you don't prepare, because I don't think anybody really goes in their builder and goes, ah shit, this Scarlet weakness beating my ass. I think it's more like you just forget that this was even a Pokemon, and then in battle you're just like, nah, I don't care. Then it sets up an SD and you're like, oh shit, why does this attack recover 50%? Why is there priority? You wasn't prepared and you got cooked by Scarlet. So I like Ledge a lot. I think it always will have a place on offense, hyper offense especially. You can never go wrong with having a priority move, especially one of the best ones ever, Shadow Sneak. It's like mainly unresisted by everything, short of normal types and dark types. So yeah, Ledge, that's why I had to put him up there. Fourth seems like a good spot for him. Let me know what you guys think. Is the best Scarlet set? You guys like SD Life Orb 3 attack? With this, you like 2 attack sub, Endure. I mean, even Choiced, if that's decent. Choiced with Trick. I don't know. I think you should always run SD on this guy personally, but yeah, Scarlet is my dog. Big fan of him. Big fan of him. Let's keep it pushing. Next up, we have the Moth. Now, Iron Moth was a mon that when I saw its stats, I was like, whoa, this thing is weird. I love when Game Freak or whoever's in charge of the stat creation, I love when they waste no time buffing up the fire stats, and then they just, whatever, the stats they don't care about, they just make them shit. That's what they did with Iron Moth. The BST is below 600, yet the special attack and speed are insane. HP is still good with 80. I believe that is regular Volk's HP. Attack is garbage. We don't need that. And the defense is garbage as well. So if you compare this to regular Volcarona, I believe regular Volcarona, yeah, 5 more base HP, 5 more base defense. But Iron Moth instead gets what? 5 more special attack, 10 more speed, and 5 more spadef. That's a pretty crazy trade. So the reason why I had Volcarona at 5 is because while Quiver Dance is amazing, this guy's pretty shiesty too. You can't count him out. So in the Palafin meta, I was running this set: Agility, Energy Ball, Sludge Wave, Fiery Dance. This thing does not go Quiver Dance because if it did, it'd probably be broken. But this set was putting in some good work for me. Just max special attack, max speed, timid to, take advantage of this super good speed tier. And then the Terra type was Grass. The reason the Terra type was Grass is because, again, this was a Palafin meta. I do think that Energy Ball is still an amazing tech on this, because otherwise, how are you going to get through Garchomps and shit like that? This thing has the same problem as the fucking regular Volcarona too. It's still going to get owned by Clodsire and that kind of thing. One thing though is that you can run Booster Energy, and Booster Energy will boost this thing's special attack, so that's always pretty nice. Coupled with Agility, it could be pretty strong. So this is, and like Fiery Dance as well as boosting your special attack by +1. So Iron Moth has the ability to sweep even without Quiver Dance, because Agility, Fire Dance, it is strong, and you can change your Terra type. I had one team where it was Terra type Pure Fire on Iron Moth as well. That way, when you Fiery Dance on the switch to Clodsire, you do so damn much that if you do get the +1, well, at that point, your Booster Energy and then +1, you usually to KO it. So Iron Moth can actually cheese through quite a few things. There is one set that I've been meaning to try that I have not had a chance to yet, but this is something that I think would be very good in the non-Palafin Iron Bundle meta. So you put Terra Blast on here, and then I was thinking you go with Terra Blast Ice. Now, I do think Terra Blast Ice has merit just because there's a lot of different dragons in the meta right now, especially Garchomp with its double hazards. If you don't have this, how are you going to hit this? You can only Energy Ball, and then you'd have to turn to a Grass type. Now, you could Terra... The only issue is, if you run Terra Blast on a Pokemon, it's forced to use the Terra up. So you have to really hope that Iron Moth has the sweep with these 3 moves, which I mean, it's not out of the ordinary that these 3 moves can sweep. This is pretty damn good coverage. Ice, poison, fire. But there's still mons that are going to fuck up this coverage. You can't get everything. Plus, a mon like this is always going to get owned by some niche shit like Tyranitar or whatever the case is, unless you have Energy Ball. And even if you have Energy Ball, that shit is still going to own you. So, Terra Blast Ice, though, you'll hit Garchomp, you'll hit Dragonite, which is on everybody's teams lately. Who else? Who else? Let me see. Dragons and OU. All these guys are irrelevant. Alright, you kill Dragapult. That's pretty big, I guess. Oh yeah, you hit Roaring Moon too, but you can already Sledge Wave Roaring Moon. It's just a nice consistent move versus dragons that is buffed up and usually will kill them. So I do think Terra Blast Ice has some pretty good merit in this current metagame. Other than that though, Iron Moth, as you guys know, an offense mon. Let me look through my builder and see how I was using him. So I had this set, Air Balloon 3 attack. This set is obviously still usable today, even if this team did feature the late Iron Bundle, RIP. You will be missed, sort of. Anyway, this set was modest Air Balloon, except Cork Drive with Electric Terrain support. That way you can basically already get the boost from Cork Drive, and then we have Air Balloon to make it a lot easier to set up. This is a pretty genius set. That's one thing though. This thing does have Cork Drive, right? Not Photosynthesis, so you don't pair it with Torkoal. You got to pair it with this little guy. But if you can make the Electric Terrain strategy work, these guys turn very, very strong. So Iron Moth, this is definitely an option as well. What else was I running? I really was running Moth a lot in the beginning of the generation. So, yep, Fire Blast, Sludge Wave, T-Spikes, Morning Sun. This was a defensive set. This one, I don't really want to co-sign. I don't think it was that good. The God Grassy, Agility 3 attack, classic set. And then, yeah, I think other than that, it was just the same Agility 3 for the most part with this guy was how you do it. Because he doesn't get Quiver Dance, and you're going to need to boost your speed if you want to, you know, a shot at sweeping. Look at these amazing names. Nick Cage, the Steep, Mike Ermintra, Stickman. Yo, CTC is a nickname in GOAT. Anyways, Iron Moth, there it is. Going to be the 3rd ranked Pokemon. A great offense pick. You can see at how many of these teams actually have this. As opposed to Volcarona, which was on like what? Like one of my teams. Iron Moth is just a lot easier to use. And I think the what Iron Moth does for the team is just better. You don't have to run boots on it because it's only 2x Fire Weak, right? Cork Drive plus Booster Energy is a broken combo of abilities and items. You come in there with the plus 1.3. That's what we'd like to see. The speed is good. Fiery Dance keeps boosting your special attack by 1. Iron Moth is very superior currently to regular Volcarona. I don't know if that's going to persist down the line in this meta, but yeah, Iron Moth is definitely better right now, so that's a fact. Now, next up, we're going to talk about none other than the starter boss, Skelodurge. Now, I know Dirge has been annoying some of y'all. I know that you run into this guy and you're like, dude, it won't die. It won't die. I know. I feel the same pain. Understand that I'm on your side, folks. I'm on your side. This asshole has to be number 2 on the ranks because he's just so bulky, impossible to kill. So we give him max HP, right? And with max HP, he hits 412, which is, you know, pretty damn solid. Sturdy mon. Any mon over 100 base HP, if you go over 400 HP stat, you're pretty bulky. Like, you get the job done. This thing has a fantastic defense stat, so people are going with this. They go with Bold. You hit 412 HP, 328 defense. This shit is so damn bulky on the physical side. This is like the fire type Dondozo to a degree. And the reason why everyone is having such a big problem with this thing defensively is that it terrestrializes into a fairy type. What Pokemon did we know that was a fairy type with Unaware and always ran heavy duty boots? Oh yeah, Clefable. This shit is literally the Clefable of Gen 9 right now, except he's better because his stats are outrageous. But the fact that he's an Unaware Pokemon and can turn fairy type is why this thing is so good. You get rid of all your weaknesses, right? So then this thing basically body bags all dragons. Dragons which would have beat this probably before because Earthquake, Crunch from Roaring Moon, all that type of shit. But when you go pure fairy, you end up walling everything, right? You're neutral to like everything. You're weak to poison, which is true, and steel. However, you're a fire type, so there's no damn steel type in the universe that's coming in on you at all. Skelodurge still has a great special attack stat with 110. The set that they run is the set that we were all pretty sure they were going to run since the beginning. It's like this, and then you can run other shit, but for the most part, they all have Torch, Will-O-Wisp, and Slack Off. You can run Earth Power if you want. You could run like... No, really, there's nothing better than what this is, because... Hold on. Why is this... Fuck. Slack Off, Hex, Will-O-Wisp, Torch Song, right? Torch Song is the move that boosts your special attack by 1 stage always, guys. So like how Fiery Dance was 80 base power and boost by 50%. This is Fire Dance's dad. It boosts by, it always boosts no matter what. So Will-O-Wisp is there as well, so you can be support basically. So Skelodurge, if it takes 50% from an attack, well, you just stay in on that shit. You go for Wisp. The next turn, it's only going to do 25. You're slacking off. Then you're going to Hex. You're going to Torch Song. You're going to keep boosting up. A lot of time, Dirge can go through mons that would have probably beat it because it turns into a fairy type and it burns it and it gets way too strong. Because that's the thing with Torch Song. You can't rely on Torch Song to not boost their special attack. This isn't Fire Dance. No, sir. This is boosting. This is 100% boosting. So I like Skelodurge. Defensively, this is the only set I've been using. This does not have an offensive set, I don't think. I would never use... Why do I keep accidentally clicking? But I would never use like an offensive set on Skelodurge. I think the ability Unaware is one of the best abilities in the game. One of the hardest abilities to beat. We all know that. Unaware can turn any Pokemon into an unkillable beast. And currently in the meta, these are the big three in terms of Unaware beasts. Not saying these guys are like the best mons. Dondozo is one of the best mons in the meta. Clodsire and Skelodurge are definitely a level underneath Dondozo, though. Dondozo is definitely better than both of those guys. Anyways, though, this is the big three of Unaware Pokemon in the current metagame, and they all do something different, right? Dondozo was meant to be the premier Palaf encounter, and a bunch of other things. Like, Dondozo beats Great Tusk, even if Great Tusk has consumed its booster energy, for example, right? Skelodurge and Clodsire, even if this turns into a fairy type, his ass is not taking Headlong Rush that well, the way Dondozo's taking it. He's taking it easy. Don't get it wrong. Don't get me wrong. Even if it's booster energy boosted, I don't even know if it'll 2 KO Skelodurge. Don't quote me, but Dirge is that bulky. Like, he can take these hits like it's nothing. I've seen this thing take 45% from Dondozo Wave Crash when this thing was a water type. Like, Skelodurge is really bulky on the physical side. So, anyway, that's the big three in terms of Unaware. Dirge has a pretty good purpose in the metagame right now. It just stops a lot of annoying shit by turning into a fairy type. Unaware means you basically just, you stop hella dudes. Like, but look at this. Roaring Moon, for example, completely screwed up. Iron Valiant, completely screwed up. These two cannot break Skelodurge if they, like, prayed forever. Like, they could never. You can have a Tech Steel type move if they want. It's not going to break Dirge at all. And he's going to blow them up with Will-O-Wisp. And then they're useless for the rest of the game. This thing is weak to Gholdengo if it turns into a fairy type, which is nice. That's the one thing I like. However, Gholdengo still can't switch in. So, defensive Pokemon that is able to really not be switched into is why Skelodurge is such an amazing Pokemon and why it got to number 2 on this list. Because as long as he can stick around and is unkillable, but then also you're afraid yourself to switch anything in because you're afraid of either Wisp or just taking a heavy hit, then this mon is good, right? Because in general it covers both ends of for your team. It defensively does something and it offensively does something as well. So you can't really ask for more. So with that, let's move on to the boss, aka Big Number 1. I'm sure some of you may have expected this. Some of you may be at the top of the ladder due to him. He's right here. His name is ChiU. Yes. Of course, I'm going to put the boss ChiU as number 1. This thing is hilarious. This thing is literally hilarious. So this guy, I have to admit it. When I first was going over all the Pokemon a couple weeks ago before the game had come out and we had like the leaks, I saw this thing's stats and I was like, these are pretty good stats, but I mean, my boy Blisef on the other hand, you know, he got 51 special attack, and he got 7 more speed. I was like, I don't know. Why wouldn't I just use my boy Blisef? I understand now, folks. I was wrong. I was foolish. ChiU is incredible in the current meta. He definitely has his position, and he's definitely a lot different than Blacephalon ever was. So the ability Beads of Ruin, right? The SPDEF stat of all other active Pokemon is reduced by 25%. So the inverse of that, if you're dropping your opponent's... If your opponent's special defense stat is multiplied by 3/4 when this thing comes into the field, and that's what that means, right? If the SPDEF stat of all other active Pokemon is reduced by 25%, that's what it means, right? Basically, you can say that your ChiU is 4/3 stronger, mathematic-wise, right? So if that's a little confusing, basically, because of ChiU's ability, you can always you can always add a 1.33x multiplier to ChiU's damage. And that's how you take into account its Beads of Ruin. So this guy basically has sheer force on all of his moves. But the secondary effect still happens. Dark Pulse does still flinch. This thing, it's amazing. It only really needs to run its stab moves. And then Psychic is there because, you know, you want to Oko Toxapex. Terastallize-wise, I only use Dark, but you can also use Psychic. And you can also use Fire. You can really use a bunch of these. So we go through the ChiU sets, right? This team that my boy just got number 2 with, Scarf ChiU, very classic set. Scarf ChiU is the thing that everybody likes running right now. You don't even need to run Sun to get the most out of this because it's just a fantastic revenge killer. Its special bulk is really good with 120. 80 defense isn't that bad. It's just a 55 defense. That's shit. But yeah, ChiU, you're mainly going to be seeing this. Scarf 3 attack. This coverage is really hard to switch into. Stuff like Flamethrower is capable of straight up one-hit KOing Great Tusk even with a choice scarf. Like, this isn't specs, remember? This guy has Terra Blast fighting, which is pretty cool because you can turn this into a fighting type. And then Oko actually opposing ChiU, which I didn't actually think about. That's pretty cool. Look at other ChiU teams. What do I got here? Got some webs with Specs ChiU. Specs ChiU is when Stall was running around the ladder. We were running with this, and this is just disgusting. Terra type fire. So basically, you bring this guy in, and if they have a Blissey, they have a Dondozo, they have a Gastrodon, they have a Toxapex, don't worry, sir. Literally, just Terra type into a fire type and click Specs Fire Blast. It does 56% to Blissey. The standard max HP Blissey takes, I think it's like 50 to 57%. So I played him. The shit took 56. Regardless of what rolls you get, it's a KO. So Specs ChiU, if you Terrastalize into a fire type, is capable of absolutely 6-0ing Stall off the rip, which is amazing. And then Dark Pulse is just a really nice double stab, you know? If you want to Terra type into a Dark type, Specs Dark Pulse will usually nuke any ground type. Clodsire, for example, is getting 2 KO. There is no next life for Clodsire. That dude is dead. Like, that's a fact. If you're Specs and you turn into a Terra Dark type. We had this as well, Scarf Flame Charge. Okay, this is definitely wrong. I have seen a couple of other ChiU sets. Specifically, I saw one guy using heavy duty boots for attack on the ladder, which was kind of cool because it was hard to kill. And then I saw somebody else running heavy duty boots plus Nasty Plot. Nasty Plot on this is insane, and it feels like it's overkill just because of how strong this thing is already. I think that you get more mileage out of Specs, but I understand that running heavy duty boots is pretty nice, especially on a Mon, because Fire Dark is hard to it's hard to kill this Mon in one hit unless you have a fighting type move or a ground type move or whatever super effective physical type move. His SPDF is good. You know, you see 120 SPDF and 55 HP, that doesn't mean he's frail on the special side. I've used him to take a Draco Meteor from Pult before and then revenge kill with Dark Pulse and that kind of thing. It's come into play many times. But if I could recommend a way to run ChiU, I would say to go with the choice set more often than not, guys. I feel like that is the set that puts in the most work for me. What was my first team in Gen 9, I think, even had ChiU because I was like, dude, this thing's evil. Yeah, look at this. Look at the agency analysis for your first team to have ChiU. But you can see that I'm evil because this is my first team I made the first day. Houndstone, this, Palafin here. Yeah, I'm not a good person. Either way, ChiU, Scarf for Specs. That's all you really need. This guy puts in the most work. And that being said, that's probably my list. I have ChiU at the top because I think he's the easiest to fit on any team. Choiced fire type, there always needs to be a Pokemon in every generation that fits the choiced fire type bill. I think in Generation 8, we started walking away from the offensive fire type as much just because people were so scared of, Stealth Rock weakness and blah, 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 blah. Besides Blacephalon, right? Blacephalon was the one that was super spammed. You'd see the occasional Volcarona, and then Blaziken really, really came up at the end of Generation 8 as just an offensive balls deep Pokemon. But even then, people ran that Protect Lefties defensive set. Now we have ChiU in here, and this thing, you don't even want to run heavy duty boots on ChiU for the most part because it's an opportunity cost. You put a choice item on this guy, you're guaranteeing that this is going to come in and just blow everything up, and you're probably going to get the advantage in the game. If ChiU comes in and you're able to get the lead up 6-5 early on, then you can just, you know, kind of farm that for the remainder of the game and then make sure you win. And so for that reason, I really like it. I got this team from my boy Storm Zone. This is just another version of Skelodurge, SPDF version. Still, this one's turning into a normal type instead of fairy, so I thought that was pretty cool and wanted to show it off. I guess this allows you to be immune to both, no, not both, but just immune to ghost moves, which helps for sure. Normal type means that this definitely destroys Golden Go, and Golden Go is definitely one of Stall's biggest issues right now, so I actually didn't think about that. Skelodurge turning into a normal type with full SPDF. This is actually a pretty good answer to Golden Go. Alright, that's about all I got. Hope y'all enjoyed. Drop a big like if you did. I'll probably be streaming later, and yeah. Peace. Have a good one.